Welcome to the local campaign here on Rogers TV. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's focus will be on the riding of Carleton. Now, before I introduce you to all of our candidates, I'll go over the format that we have this year. It is much different than in previous years where we had the debate format that you're all accustomed to, but because of different circumstances, we have gone to a virtual format where we will ask questions to all of our candidates. So it'll be a question and answer session for each candidate. Each candidate will have an opportunity to share their opening statement, 60 seconds for their opening statement, followed by a number of questions. Again, 60 seconds to answer each of those questions, and a final closing statement, 60 seconds for each of those closing statements. So let's introduce you to our candidates for Carleton riding. I'll introduce them in alphabetical order. First off, from the None of the Above party, we have Chris Beauchamp. From the Liberal Party, Tom Dawson. From the PC Party, Goldie, Ghamari. From the NDP, Kevin St. Denis. From the New Blue Party, Rob Stocki. And from the Green Party, CodyZulinski. It is now time for our opening statements, and we start in alphabetical order with Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above party.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Chris Beauchamp, and I'm your candidate for the None of the Above Direct Democracy Party. As I speak to voters across this great riding, the one thing I'm hearing over and over again is dissatisfaction with the current major political party system. This is why voter engagement is at an all-time low. Please resist the temptation to stay home on election day. You have an option. You can choose none of the above. Elected officials should represent the interests of their constituents, not the interests of their political party. We believe in the 3 R's of democracy: referendum with widespread public consultation, recall, where ineffective politicians who don't keep their promises can be removed, and responsible government. It's time to shift the power back into the hands of the people. It's time for direct democracy. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to sharing our vision.
Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party. You have 60 seconds.
Politics must put people first. I believe in good government, a caring government, and a responsible government. That simply does not exist with Doug Ford. This riding deserves better. You deserve better. I was born and raised in Carleton and have watched the riding grow, change, and evolve. I want you to have a representative that cares about your needs, your concerns, and who wants to be your voice. You've told me you respect teachers and nurses. Your government must too. You've told me you want to care for your parents. Your government must too. And you've told me that you're concerned about the cost of living, so your government must be too. You no longer have to be ignored by Ford. You can have a Liberal government that cares about including everyone in the future, a government that believes in progress, innovation, accountability, and a government that will deliver the change you need. My name is Tom Dawson, and I want to be your voice at Queen's Park.
Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me here today. My name is Goldie Ghamari, and I'm proud to once again be your Ontario Progressive Conservative candidate for the riding of Carleton. I was first elected in 2018, and the reason that I got involved in politics is because I wanted to make a difference in my community, and I wanted to give back, and I really wanted to be a strong voice for the people of Carleton in Toronto at Queen's Park. And I think that the past 4 years and all the accomplishments that I've managed to achieve for the people of Carleton have shown that, when you work hard and put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. So I'm really excited to be here today. I'm really excited to talk about Doug Ford and the Ontario PC Party, as well as myself. And I really look forward to securing your vote on June 2nd. Thank you.
Kevin St. Denis of the NDP, it is now time for your opening statement. You have 60 seconds.
Hello, thank you for having me. My name is Kevin St. Denis. I'm the NDP candidate for Carleton. I'm an OCT certified public school teacher. I work at elementary schools across my riding. Previous to that, I've worked at schools in Poland and Tanzania and South Korea, which has given me an interesting insight into education and how it can and shouldn't be done. Beyond that, I've done some forestry work. I spent 4 summers tree planting in Northern Ontario And I was once inclined to go and work for the BC Forestry Service to fight forest fires in northern BC. I'm excited to be a part of this election and looking forward to help bring the NDP platform and message to Ontario.
Rob Stocki of New Blue, over to you.
Hi there, my name is Rob Stocki. I'm the New Blue Party of Ontario candidate for Carleton. The reason I'm running is because I am a regular person, just like you, and I think it's time that regular people, not trust fund babies, not multimillionaires, started representing us and representing our interests. I'm very upset about the way politics has been done in our province for a very long time. And as a person who has extensive community service under my belt, including serving the community as a police officer for 13 years, doing copious amounts of volunteering at many different organizations, I think it's time that the regular average person had the voice representing them of a regular average person so our issues can be heard and acted upon.
CodyZulinski of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
Good day, my name is CodyZulinski and I am the Green candidate for Carleton. I'm a high school English and business teacher at South Carleton High School in Richmond. Go Storm. I'm an author of 2 young adult fiction novels, and for 3 years I worked as assistant to City Councillor of Stittsville, Shad Caudry. Like many people, I was never very trusting of the political process before that. But politics is about identifying problems, and elections are about solutions. One of the most glaring problems right now is, of course, affordability. Prices are going up, and Band-Aid solutions won't cut it anymore. Because if there's one thing you can count on, it's that corporations will take care of themselves first. This has led us to man-made climate change, another huge crisis which is not only not being addressed in a meaningful way, but actively denied by some politicians. And these problems wouldn't seem so insurmountable if we didn't also have a problem with our electoral system. Because even though 6 out of 10 voters voted against this government, they still make decisions that don't represent the majority. We need to do things differently. And the Ontario Greens and our outspoken leader, Mike Schreiner, have a cohesive, sustainable, and fully costed vision to get us there. Thank you for supporting me.
Our first question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? I throw this question to Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party. You have 60 seconds.
Cost of living comes up at almost every door. It's top of mind, and we've all seen how prices have skyrocketed under Doug Ford. Homes have gone up in Ontario about $500,000. The much needed hydro cut never came. The income tax cut never came. And the gas tax cut never came. So the Ontario Liberals are taking it very seriously. And we're introducing things like Buck a Ride to take cars off the road and put money in people's pockets. We're going to be increasing the top up for parental leave to 18 months. So there's no financial hit. We're going to be bringing in $10 a day daycare before and after, also to save money for families. This will be transformative. On top of that, any prepared food under $20 will be removing the provincial sales tax portion. So these savings will add up over time and put money back in people's pockets.
And again, the first question. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? I throw this question to Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party.
Well, thank you very much for that question. Cost of living is definitely going up, and it's unfortunate to see some of the policies there at the federal level. But the reality is, Doug Ford and the Ontario PC Party, we have a plan to help put more money back in people's pockets. We have a plan to help with inflation. While the other parties are campaigning on raising taxes and raising the cost of living and raising how much money they take from hardworking families and Ontarians, Doug Ford and the Ontario PC Party has a plan to reduce taxes. And how are we doing that? Well, we're introducing legislation to lower the provincial tax on gasoline prices. We've also, in the past, lowered taxes for various income brackets. For example, we introduced the lift tax, and we're looking to reduce taxes for anyone less than $50,000.
Same question to Kevin St. Denis of the NDP. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Cost of living is an important issue for everyone across Ontario and the world for that matter. A big part of the NDP's platform is the Green New Democratic Deal. That is going to help bring affordable jobs, jobs for people to do retrofitting programs in buildings. Furthermore, we're hoping to implement a pharmacare program for Ontarians, as well as bringing mental health care into OHIP and dental care as a part of the public healthcare program. These things, as well as a 20 wage and 10 sick days paid for all Ontarians, will help a lot with affordability.
Rob Stocki of the New Blue Party. I asked the same question of you. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses?
Thank you for the question. First of all, one of the reasons that we're having such huge expenses is because of years and years of fiscal mismanagement, deficit spending, constant borrowing, and raising of taxes. The first thing that we need to do is get the economy going and kickstarting the economy, making it function again. The New Blue Party of Ontario is going to be issuing a tax cut for the provincial portion of the HST, bringing down the HST from 13% to 10%. There's a thing called the Laffer curve. And as you increase taxes, as government increase taxes thinking they're going to get more revenue, they actually decrease taxes. They decrease their revenue because they take away the incentive for businesses to take risk. They take away the business's ability to function. And as a result, it doesn't work out. Lowering taxes is the first step.
And the same question, cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? CodyZulinski of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you so much. Of course, affordability is a huge issue right now. The Ontario Greens propose raising the minimum wage by $1 every single year. We want to ensure that paid sick days are affordable. So not only do people have the luxury of being able to take time off work, but we can avoid future pandemics like what we have. For people living with disabilities right now they are living in legislated poverty. And none of the other parties were proposing this off the get-go, but we are doubling ODSP rates so that we can actually have people with disabilities living in dignity again. Of course, right now, gas prices are a huge issue as well. So we're going to be providing an alternative to that, which for a more sustainable future, a long-term solution. So we're going to provide electric vehicle incentives up to $10,000 for a new vehicle, $1,000 for e-bikes or used electric vehicles. We're going to invest $15,000 to $20,000 in green retrofits so you can save money while you're saving energy. We're going to convert student grants to loans.
And Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above Party, same question to you. Cost of living is perhaps the biggest issue for many in this election. What will you do to help people afford their day-to-day expenses? You have 60 seconds.
That's a great question, Derek. The fact is that cost of living is the number one thing I'm hearing on the doorsteps. Inflation is up to around 9%. And honestly, things like fuel prices and energy prices are really what's driving things up. I think there's certain things the government can do to help. And they are sometimes things that need long-term solutions. The movement to electric vehicles, alternative energy sources, these are all long-term solutions that could bring down the prices. There's also certain economic and fiscal policies that can be put into the place. And None of the Above Direct Democracy Party really believes in speaking for the constituents of Carleton and the voters of Ontario. This is why we will listen to people, listen to their ideas, and work really hard on this because this will be a priority for us. I work in the private sector. I feel the pain of knowing that people's cost of living is going up and salaries can't keep up. Our party will work across party lines with many other organizations and groups to come up with the best interest for the people of Ontario.
Our next question, the pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking? Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you very much. I think if we look at the past 15 years when the Liberals were in power, supported by the NDP, they only built 611 new long-term care beds. In the last 4 years alone as MPP for Carleton, I've managed to secure funding to build over 300 brand new beds in long-term care at the Osgoode Care Centre and also at Extendicare in Stittsville. Aside from that, we've also invested historic amounts in implementing safety measures at long-term care homes. We've also introduced programs to help train more PSWs, and we've increased the salary for PSWs as well. Because ultimately, looking at long-term care, it's a holistic approach. It fits into healthcare, it fits into long-term care, it fits into hallway healthcare, and it also fits into making sure seniors can age at home gracefully. So again, the only party that's getting it done is Doug Ford and the Ontario PC Party, and that's why I'm proud to be part of Doug Ford's team.
Same question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking? Kevin St. Denis of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, thank you. The long-term care situation in Ontario is really quite tragic. My grandmother recently turned 95 and has recently moved into my parents' home, and we're lucky enough to have the place to keep her, but not every Ontarian is lucky enough to have that. I know it was a big challenge for her to move out of the condo that she lived in for the majority of her life, and definitely as long as I have. And we were happy that she didn't have to be a part of what a lot of people had to witness during that pandemic. Um, the NDP is going to remove the profit motive for long-term care, move to a home care and public long-term care system that'll be sure to give our seniors the help that they need. Additionally, we're going to hire full-time PSWs and increase their wages. And of course, our pharmacare program and dental care program and mental health programs will all help as well.
Our next question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking? Rob Stocki of New Blue, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. This is a very complex issue, and there's only 1 minute to answer. Obviously, we would need more time. But being very brief on this issue, there's a number of things that have happened. Doug Ford has fired a whole bunch of nurses. They have prevented people from coming to work because they refused to get jabbed. And as we're finding out now, the jab is not effective in prevention or transmission of COVID-19. So dealing with the issue of long-term care, first of all, we need more money. Also, we need to look at other possible solutions, like allowing citizens to be able to live in their houses longer. Could we have nurses that actually attend, care for people in their homes, as opposed to having them move out and moving into a long-term care facility? There are many options. This is something that can be solved, especially with an aging baby boom population. We can do this. The New Blue Party of Ontario is there for you.
Over to CodyZulinski of the Green Party. Same question for you. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
What's been happening in our long-term care homes has been disgraceful, and the way that it was managed is equally as disgraceful. What we saw was the result of privatization and profits being prioritized on top of people. We need to reverse that and start considering people first again. The Ontario Greens are going to provide 55,000 more long-term care home beds, and we're going to increase base funding by 10%. We're going to phase out the for-profit long-term care industry and shift to an entirely non-profit sector. We're going to repeal Bill 218, which basically shields long-term care homes from the liability and make sure that they're held accountable for their actions. And we're going to ensure that long-term care home residents have a minimum of 4 hours of care every single day for each resident. We're going to make sure that personal support workers are paid a regular wage of $25 an hour minimum. And we're going to make sure that long-term care residents have the options of home care and co-housing.
Same question. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking? Over to Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above Party. You have 60 seconds.
There were so many tragedies during the pandemic. It was a very difficult time. And obviously, what happened in our long term care system with the deaths and illnesses was really heartbreaking, and I think was really, really preventable. This was a sector that was really ignored for a long time, especially the folks in our public sector long term care centers. There has to be real change, there has to be innovation, and there has to be partnerships. Right now, there's a very adversarial situation between the government, the different unions, the different care home providers, and they are a for-profit system, and sometimes cutting costs puts people at risk. There has to be more oversight. There has to be more consultation. I think the None of the Above party really believes that our job as government is to protect our most vulnerable citizens, including individuals, seniors, and adults with disabilities living in long-term care centers. This really is something that requires a lot of consultation, a lot of collaboration, and some real ideas for efficiencies and for keeping our seniors safe. It is really one of the top priorities that our party would have.
Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party. Same question for yourself. The pandemic highlighted the fact that our long-term care system is underfunded and understaffed. The standard of care in LTC needs a great deal of improvement. How would you address this expensive yet necessary undertaking?
Ontario seniors are who we owe our province to. We should treat them with the utmost of respect. And when the pandemic first happened, Doug Ford promised to put an iron ring around these homes. And we all know the result of that. We all know that the Canadian military was called in. So one thing that I'm very proud of is that we will be ending for-profit long-term care homes in Ontario, because care and profit do not mix. On top of that, we have a home care guarantee that will keep seniors, 95% of whom want to stay in their homes as long as possible, in their homes. We will be increasing it to the tune of 400,000 spots for others. And we've all known that we weren't comfortable with the idea of warehousing our elders. So we will be getting rid of the warehouse model and actually having care homes be homes.
Next question. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times? Kevin St. Denis of the NDP, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, thank you. Agriculture is a major, not issue, but job source in Carleton. As a part of the NDP's Green New Democratic Deal, we plan to help farmers locally produce food that we can all have on our tables. Additionally to that, we're hoping that we can increase job opportunities for young farmers and new farmers by offering them guaranteed loans and mentorship programs.
Same question. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times? Rob Stocki of New Blue, you have 60 seconds.
Agriculture is huge in Carleton, and right now we depend on our farmers for our food. Agriculture is a very important issue. However, there are other issues that are related to farming and farmland and agriculture that have come up at the doors. For example, drainage in Carleton is a problem. A lot of farmers, their growing season has been minimized because the amount of flooding that's taking place and the drainage that's not working the way it should ends up causing farmers to have to start planting later and end their seasons sooner. So number one, the easiest way within only 1 minute to answer this question is allowing farmers to have their growing season expanded by fixing the drainage problem that we have in Carleton.
Same question for CodyZulinski of the Green Party. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult pandemic, post-pandemic times?
Carleton is such a special riding. You cannot drive through Carleton without passing some family farms. We right now are losing 175 acres a day of prime farmland, basically to developments and highways like the Doug Ford government is proposing right now. We're going to make sure that highways do not post through Carleton riding. We're going to make sure we freeze urban boundaries so that those living in the rural areas can actually feel safe and protected out here. We're going to improve internet by making sure that internet is considered an essential service. We're going to in Ontario food targets and make sure that we can achieve those. We're going to give tax incentives to manufacturers so they are more inclined to buy local. We're going to make sure that sustainable practices are paid for by the government so that farmers can feel supported. We're going to make sure we retain family farms and allow succession. And we're going to encourage education and grant opportunities for students to get into the agri-food culture.
Same question to the none of the above party candidate, Chris Beauchamp. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult post-pandemic times?
One of the things I really love about the Carleton riding is the mixture between suburban areas of places like Findlay Creek and Stittsville with our rural farming areas. And the farmers have had a very difficult time in the pandemic. And often that's because elected officials from Carleton really went to Toronto and were told to vote in certain ways based on what their political leaders told them to do. In the interests of farmers, were kind of ignored after the election. And none of the above direct democracy party really believes in consulting with farmers and consulting with all members of Findlay Creek. There has to be meaningful change to help support our farmers because they are the backbone of the economy and they're who feed us. And it is really, really, really important to support them in every way we can. We need to have meaningful solutions and collaboration and input. Speak to the people out in the farms, on the tractors, and get their input and support them because their vote really matters. And for far too long, they've been ignored in our political system.
Same question. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult post-pandemic times? Over to Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party.
I was very grateful to have my first job be selling corn for a farm. And I have kept in touch with the agricultural community. We've had lots of discussions with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture in order to keep the communication lines open and understand what they need. For us, it's about making sure that we can get their products out to a competitive market, that they can innovate. We're going to be investing in research for agriculture. And we're also going to make sure that they're connected to all of society because farmers feed cities. The other element that we have to keep in mind is making sure that we have continuous bridges between rural and urban settings. These are not two solitudes. These are complementary communities, and we will engage with them respectfully.
Same question to Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party. We know that agriculture is a very important subject for your riding. How are you going to support our farmers, especially in these difficult post-pandemic times?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, agriculture is an important, if not one of the most important industries in Carleton. We've supported agriculture in a number of ways. Just a few weeks ago, actually, I was in North Gore at Foster Family Farms with Lisa Thompson, who was the Minister of Agriculture, and where we announced $25 million to help with the food processing sector. We've also introduced a number of grants and programs. One thing we've also done to support agriculture is we've appointed agricultural representatives to conservation authority boards to make sure that when decisions are being made about people's private properties and what they can and can't do on their personal property, that there is agricultural representation there to support the people of Carleton. So I'm very excited to have Mel Foster from North Gore on Rideau Valley Conservation Authority and Stephen Lewis from Ashton on the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority.
Next question. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades? Rob Stocki of the New Blue Party, you have 60 seconds.
Well, let me tell you something right now. Skilled trades is a very important issue for me. I'm a businessman. I employ skilled trades. I'm actually a skilled tradesperson myself. One of the issues that we have with skilled trades is the journeyman, the apprentice to journeyman process, especially for electricians, for example. You need so many journeymen to supervise a single apprentice, and the time it takes to become an apprentice to become a journeyman, so you can actually run your own company or supervise others. It's a long time. One thing I'd love to do away with is the College of Trades. That is a euphemistically named organization that has very little support for people. It's more of an enforcement agency preventing people from entering the trades or making it very difficult for them to carry on businesses in the trades. Trades are very important. I think schools should be geared to bringing out people in the trades.
Same question. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades? CodyZulinski of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
That's a great question. Right now, I'm actually teaching careers as a course at school. And it's great because I ask kids, what are you involved? What are you engaged with? A lot of times we've seen in the past generations, kids being encouraged, you have to pursue university or you have to pursue college, and not as much emphasis is being put on the trades. And students want to see more engagement with the trades. So we're going to make sure that we invest in opportunities for students to get into whatever field of work they need, especially in the growing trades industry that we are seeing in the future of building electric vehicles and getting involved in any sort of environmentally protective industry. We're going to be providing 60,000 students with a free year of college tuition with a free guaranteed year of apprenticeship afterwards of work. So that way we can be better prepared for the future and students can get that burden lifted off of their shoulders.
Same question to Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above Party. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades?
You know, I'm probably showing my age a little bit, but I remember going through high school, the idea that the skilled trades was really not a desirable option. You should go to university and get your bachelor's degree. And, you know, I went to university for a very long time. And if I could do it over again, I'd really consider the skilled trades. They are the drivers of the economy. There are many solutions to increasing the number of skilled trades, and one of them is removing the stigma that it's somehow a lesser, quote unquote, blue collar occupation. These folks work very hard, they're very talented, they're very educated, and they do a great job keeping Ontario running. We really have to attract more students in the program, and there are some programs through the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the high schools that are great. We also have to look at attracting new Canadians to get into the skilled trades and recruiting individuals and skilled tradespeople from overseas who can come here and fill the void that we have. Ontario is growing. We need these individuals, absolutely, and we have to make them a priority and let them know that they are the backbone of our economy.
Same question for Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades? You have 60 seconds.
The heart of that question is getting the economy rolling again. And we have a plan. Just to take home construction as an example, the Ontario Liberals are going to be building 1.5 million homes over 10 years. This will create about 150,000 jobs in the trades. So we'll be ramping up apprenticeship programs and making sure that all of these homes are built with the best possible care. And this will kickstart the trade sector again.
Same question, Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades?
Well, thank you very much for this question. This is one of my favorite topics because my father is an electrician, and as the daughter of someone who is in the skilled trades, I recognize the importance of not just skilled trades in Ontario, but the importance of skilled trades in raising a family and the fantastic career that you can have. And I'm very excited, actually, that just last night, the IBEW supported and formally endorsed the Ontario PC Party. And my father has been a member of the IBEW for 34 years now. And I think the fact that we are getting these historic endorsements from unions across the province speaks to what we have done to support skilled trades in the past. And it also speaks to what Ontario PC Party and Doug Ford is doing to continue to support skilled trades moving forward. I think actions speak louder than words, and our actions have shown that there are endorsements.
Same question to Kevin St. Denis of the NDP. Ontario desperately needs more skilled tradespeople. How will you help attract and encourage more people to consider a career in the skilled trades?
Yes, we do have a lack of skilled tradespeople here in Ontario. One of the plans for increasing the number of skilled tradespeople here is to bring back trade training in high schools. And as well, we want to encourage people with previous skills to expedite their um, certification here in Ontario if they were trained elsewhere. This will, of course, may have a big effect on our healthcare system, but hopefully skilled trades as well.
Next question. If you are elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years? CodyZulinski of the Green Party, you have 60 seconds.
I mean, where to start with this one? There's a lot of changes that I'd like to see. Obviously, as a teacher, I'm very heavily invested in the education system. And what we've seen with Doug Ford's cuts to education, he cut another $1 billion this year. Basically, that's where your license plate sticker rebate went to. We're not getting the support that we need. We need to lower class sizes. And more than anything else, we need to protect our rural schools and ensure that we have the supports that we need, because a lot of these schools are falling apart right now. I've taught in 2 schools over the last year, Osgood Township High School and South Carleton High School, and neither of them have reliably clean drinking water. And that's just unacceptable in the year 2022. A lot of these students rely on busing from Stittsville to Richmond, and these buses get canceled on a daily basis. We need a reliable system here. And so investing in what we need to support our rural schools is essential.
Same question. If you are elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years? Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above Party, you have 60 seconds.
You know, I think we've been through this whole song and dance. Politicians come out here every 4 years, promise whatever it takes to get elected, and they don't necessarily always follow through. There are so many changes we have to do in this diverse riding. We have schools that are busting at the seams, and even though new schools are coming, they're far too late. We have farmers who aren't being supported. We have a transit system that's underfunded. And even though that's a city responsibility, the province is a partner in that. There are so many changes we have to do. In my first 100 days, I will be in consultation mode. I will be meeting people in town halls and bingo halls and church basements, going door to door, speaking to people and saying legitimately, what are your interests? What do you need from me? And None of the Above representative is not there just to go to Toronto and vote based on what the party leader says. I will be your spokesperson, and my job will be to convey your views, your desires, your policies, and your priorities to the people of Toronto to ensure that the folks of Carleton are very well represented.
Same question to Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party. If you were elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years?
What I'm hearing constantly is that people want someone who is going to be responsive to their needs, someone who's going to listen to their concerns. And that is something that as a 20-year public servant, I pride myself on. This job is not about me, it's about you. And I've spoken to nurses who have felt completely abandoned by the Ford government. So I want to reestablish those connections. I've talked to teachers who felt like they were completely disrespected by the Ford government with the flip-flopping of lockdowns. So I want to make sure that their voices are heard and we have a collaborative approach to looking after our kids going forward. And I want to make sure that this is an Ontario and this is a riding where no one is left behind. So the autism wait list grew from 23,000 to 53,000, and that is something that we're going to tackle to make sure everyone has the support they need.
Same question for Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party. If you are elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years?
Well, thank you very much for the question. So that question is a little, it's interesting because Carleton is such a diverse riding that it's very hard to pinpoint one large change. And I think the biggest lesson that I've learned in the past 4 years of being a representative for Carleton is that different areas of Carleton have different needs and different priorities. And so the biggest priority in Stittsville might not necessarily be the biggest priority in Riverside South or in North Gore or in Metcalfe or in Richmond. And so to answer your question, I would say that the biggest priority depends on the community in the area. For example, I know that in Stittsville and Riverside South, we certainly need some more schools, especially in Finley Creek as well. In the agriculture areas, a little bit further south, my biggest priority is making sure that we have proper accountability and representation for conservation authorities, including the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority.
Same question to Kevin St. Denis of the NDP. If you are elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years?
Well, in our riding, as I've previously stated, agriculture is a really important thing, and I'd like to be sure that the food that we purchase at our grocery stores comes from the farmers here in Carleton would be ideal. Additionally, as a public school teacher, I would like to see expansions on special education for the students at the schools, not just the schools that I work at, but schools across our riding. And public transit would be very useful to improve the accessibility of important infrastructure and services provided in Ottawa. Many of the regions in Carleton see very little public transit or at least unreliable public transit. It would be fantastic if we could use that more reliably. That would also decrease our dependence on fossil fuels and cars.
Same question to the New Blue candidate, Rob Stocki. If you were elected, what would be the biggest changes you would like to see in your riding over the course of the coming 4 years?
The biggest change that we would see in my riding and a lot of ridings if the New Blue Party of Ontario was elected is faith in government. People would be shocked to see that government can actually work for them. Another thing we would do is end the mandates. The mandates have divided families, they've divided employees and employers, they've divided friends. These mandates have to end. There's no scientific basis, despite what anybody says. There's no scientific basis. We haven't seen any facts. We haven't seen any statistics. This has got to change. We would also renew political accountability. Politicians need to be held to account for the decisions they make and the poor decisions and mismanagement that they cause. Another thing that I would look after in Carleton is the well water charges for rural residents. Right now, the city is taxing nature. They're taxing the residents of Carleton for their well water, which the city is a service the city doesn't provide.
It is now time for your closing statements. Each of you have 60 seconds, and we will go in reverse alphabetical order, starting with CodyZulinski of the Green Party. You have 60 seconds.
Carleton, you have a rare opportunity this election to break from the status quo and make Carleton a green riding. Now more than ever, we need leaders who care about sustainability over short-term solutions and about fiscal responsibility over short-sighted waste. Our leader, Mike Schreiner, taught me that budgets are about priorities, and prioritizing renewable energy and the people who need it most not only benefits the environment, but is cheaper for us long-term. Sustainability means strength. Ontario Greens don't just have a platform, we have a vision that brings us to net zero by 2045. We're going to build an electric vehicle supply chain here in Ontario, make EVs more affordable, make charging stations more reliable, install green retrofits in homes to reduce your energy bills, tackle the root causes crippling housing affordability, provide mental health care under OHIP, immediately double ODSP rates, and much, much more. In the Carleton riding, a vote for the Greens is not a wasted vote. We're the best case scenario. This election, vote Green, vote CodyZulinski for Carleton.
Rob Stocki of the New Blue Party, it is time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Rogers for giving us this opportunity. One of the things that we've noticed with the New Blue Party of Ontario, especially with the debates, is that despite having the credibility and all candidates in 124 ridings and an elected member of Parliament, provincial Parliament in the New Blue Party, the media consortiums have prevented our leader, Jim Karahalios, from actually debating. They're trying to hide the great things that we're going to do for the people of Ontario. We have so many candidates from emergency services. We have doctors, lawyers, paralegals. It's just hardworking people, moms, dads. They're just great, great people. Military, of course. And I just think that I just want to say thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. I know that if you do your homework and look at what the New Blue Party of Ontario offers, you will be so happy with the way this province is going to be run in the future. So thank you for that. I look forward to seeing you. Vote Rob Stocki for Carleton, New Blue Party of Ontario.
Kevin St. Denis of the NDP, it is now time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
Ontario is ready for a change, and the NDP is ready to bring that type of change. We have a strong platform focused around the Green New Democratic Deal, and we're excited to implement it and bring Ontario into a new green economy. Thank you very much for having me.
Goldie Ghamari of the PC Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Well, again, thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's always a pleasure to get an opportunity to speak with everyone. The past 4 years have truly been an honor and very, very humbling. I never grew up thinking that I would ever be a politician. I didn't know anything about politics or how to get involved. I didn't come from a political family. My parents immigrated to Canada in 1986 with 2 suitcases, $50 in their pocket, and a 1-year-old daughter, me. And, here I am today, 37 years later, running for re-election. And I can't believe, I can't even believe that I got elected the first time. It still seems so new to me. But the one thing that I can promise is that I will always be a strong voice for the people of Carleton. I will always represent everyone at Queen's Park. And I will always be here to listen to the people of Carleton, because you are the most important people that I'm here to serve. Thank you.
Tom Dawson of the Liberal Party, it's time for your closing statement. You have 60 seconds.
Doug Ford uses yesterday's answers to try and solve today's problems, but we're working on a better tomorrow. So we employ new ideas, bold ideas, your ideas. I'm proud of our Liberal platform because it was done through consultation by reaching out to Ontarians. It's a platform for a united Ontario. So I will continue to engage with you respectfully. I will make sure that your kids have the safest and most supportive schools possible. Your parents will be protected in any home in which they choose to live. And I will be in touch. I hear time and again that people want a responsive representative. So Carleton, as your MPP, I will make sure that you are respected, protected, and connected. On June 2nd, vote for Tom Dawson.
Chris Beauchamp of the None of the Above Party, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
I'd like to thank Rogers for hosting this debate. I'm sure that by now you've heard a lot of different ideas. You've heard promises that are meant to buy your vote, ironically with your own money. Most of all, I think you've heard the usual refrains, gripes, cliches, alarmist accusations. You could be excused for feeling like it's deja vu all over again. We're fortunate in Ontario and in Carleton. We have many smart, talented candidates. You've met a lot of them during this debate. The problem is not the people. The problem is the system. Our elected officials are told by their respective party leadership what to think, how to vote, what to say. This is not true democracy. We need elected officials who have the independence to truly represent their constituents. On election day, tell the major political parties that you're tired of the same old routine. Vote for me, Chris Beauchamp, and the None of the Above Direct Democracy Party. It's time for a real change. Thank you, everybody, and please continue to stay safe.
Thank you to all of our candidates. Really appreciate your time today. Of course, thank you for watching at home. We encourage you, of course, to vote and also to tune in to our in-depth election coverage right here on Rogers TV.